Sightings are really important for us because they enable us to work out where the animals are living, find out where they're feeding, where they're breeding, and which areas are the most important for them around the British coastline. This enables us to then inform government, and that helps them make sure that our conservation measures in the UK are the most appropriate in order to protect us as best we can. Choosing your land watch site, you need to make sure that you're choosing somewhere that's fairly high up. So you need a vantage point which enables you to see out fairly far to sea. The other thing you need to consider is how flat the coastline is. So you don't want to be at the inside of the bay. Preferably you would be on a peninsula or on a flat bit of coast. So any animals that are coming close into land aren't going to be hidden behind any outcrops of rock.
So we've chosen this spot because we are elevated and we have a clear view of the surrounding area of the sea, and we can see behind us into the harbour as well.
You also need to consider the accessibility of this site. If you're choosing somewhere that's a 5 kilometre hike away from where you are, chances are you won't be going there very frequently. So you need to choose somewhere that's easy of access, preferably by car, and that you can get to comfortably regardless of the conditions in the days following up to your land watch. So that even in the winter, if you have one nice day and it's been raining for 2 weeks and muddy, you can still access this point. This means that you'll be collecting a really consistent data set, and that will be really useful for us. When you're setting up your land watch, you need to decide how long you're going to be watching for. We generally advise to watch for about 2 hours. This is about the amount of time that you can concentrate on your own. However, if you've got more than one of you watching, if you're in a team of observers, you can take shifts, in which case you will change over every hour, and this enables you to watch for longer periods of time, which in turn enables you to have more chances of seeing cetaceans. Obviously, the longer you watch for, the more chances you have to see something. Conducting regular watches has a number of different advantages. Firstly, you're going to be creating a consistent data set in your region, which enables you to monitor your local cetaceans. Secondly, it'll mean that you get used to your local watch site, which means that you'll find out which times of day are the best for spotting cetaceans. These might be high water, it might also be early in the morning or late in the evening, which usually have the best light conditions. The more you find out about your local spot, the more likely you are to work out when the best time to watch cetaceans is. You need to keep your eyes on the water as much as possible. What you're doing is you're scanning from one side of the horizon to the other, going from the horizon into the coastline and then out again. And you do this all the way across the horizon, and then once you get to one side, you start again. You do this with the naked eye in order to ensure that you've got the widest angle of vision possible. If you see anything that could be a cetacean, this could be a splash, you could see a fin, so a dark spot on the water, or some birds hovering above the water, which could be feeding on the same things that cetaceans are feeding. That's when you pick up your binoculars or your telescope and you check what it is that you're looking at. You can also use binoculars to ensure that you're recording the correct behaviour, and you can look for species identification features, so markings on the animal's flank, the shape of the head, the size of the animal, and also the location of the fin on the animal's back. Environmental conditions will affect strongly how successful your land watch is going to be. Firstly, you need to look at your sea state. Depending on how calm the sea is, you're more or less likely to be able to spot the cetaceans. So we tend to go for sea state below a sea state 3. These are the conditions in which we're most likely to be able to pick out a fin or a splash that will indicate that these animals are present. Visibility is another important factor that we need to take into consideration when setting up a cetacean watch. Obviously, you need to be able to see as far out as possible out of the sea, so this means you need conditions with no fog and limited amounts of rain.
So the forms you need to fill in when you're doing a land watch are found on our website. There's this form for a single sighting, so if you're out and you happen to see a cetacean, you can fill in this one. But if you're going out and doing a time land watch, this is the form you need to be filling in. This one, you've got to fill in some effort data as well as about the sighting. Then for the effort data, you need to know a bit about the weather conditions at the time. And down at the bottom is a section for your actual sighting. So all the information you need is down at the bottom of the sheet, and it explains everything on it.
When you're conducting your land watches, the chances are you're going to be spending a lot of time around cliffs in an exposed environment. So, in order to stay safe, please ensure that you have the correct equipment with you. You'll be needing sturdy shoes to make sure that you don't slip, correct clothing, so layers if it's cold, waterproof if it might rain, and t-shirts if you're lucky enough to be watching in sunny weather. You also need to consider things like sunglasses. Even when it's not particularly warm, the glare off the sea can be really tiring, so it's worth having them with you. And then things like hats and sunscreen if it is sunny. And obviously things to keep you busy like food and tea. After going to all that effort of having conducted a land watch, you want to make sure that you submit your data to the Sea Watch Foundation so that we can use it in our analyses. To do so, you can either submit your sightings on our online sightings form on the website, or for effort data, you simply need to email it to me on sightings@seawatchfoundation.org.uk. All your data will be included in our analyses and hopefully contribute to the conservation of cetaceans around the UK. Many thanks.